Hey guys, I know I'm a little bit late to the party, but here is my review on the Nike Vaporfly 3. And this thing is lightweight, fast, and a top option for many elite runners. And like always in this review, I'll go over some of the basic specs on the shoe, and then my experience using it over the past few runs, which equal about 27 miles. So the stack height, you're looking at 40 millimeters in the rear, 32 in the forefoot for a heel to toe drop of 8 millimeters. My men's size 8.5 weighs in at 6.5 ounces or 186 grams. And I believe this is the second lightest max cushion racing shoe that I've ever worn, other than the Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris. As far as the upper goes, this thing breathes incredibly well. There are huge ventilation holes all over in this mesh. You get a decent amount of padding inside the heel collar. The heel counter has quite a bit of structure to it. I'm not a huge fan of the tongue. It has a little bit of padding. It's, I would say, unnecessarily long. It's also not gusseted, but I find once you figure out how to lace this up properly, for myself at least over the past few runs, I haven't had any major issues. Then in terms of fit, you're definitely getting a racing fit with this shoe. It does fit a little bit on the narrow side. And I would say if you have a really wide foot, you're probably not going to be able to get away with the Vaporfly. Oh, and for those of you wondering, the insoles are not removable. Oh, and in terms of length, I did go true to size. Now the midsole, this one is one of the most special midsoles in the game. You have a huge stack of the Zoom X PIBA based midsole. This stuff is incredibly lightweight, responsive. In the Vaporfly 3, there's also a spoon shaped carbon fiber plate. It makes this shoe unbelievably stiff as well. Everything about this shoe was made to run fast. And I have ran in the Vaporfly 1 and 2, which those shoes were very similar to each other. And there have been a few tweaks to this new version, the Vaporfly 3. And I would say the midsole feeling in this shoe, the Vaporfly 3, has been softened up a little bit. And I would say that the overall ride doesn't feel quite as aggressive as the previous two versions. The outsole has also been redesigned, and this rubber is going to grip quite a bit better on wet pavement than the previous two versions. In terms of outsole durability, I can't really speak on that as I only have 27 miles. But for the most part, it's pretty well known that this shoe is not going to be a really durable option, and you're going to want to keep your miles limited to key training sessions or race day only. So over this past year, I've been lucky enough to try out some really great racing shoes, specifically the Hoka Cielo X1, as well as the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Those two are great shoes, but you know what, when it comes to race day, for myself at least, I'm just not sure if you can beat a Vaporfly 3. For myself, I'm more of a midfoot to heel striker, and I know that high stack shoes work really well for me, and this shoe in particular works really well for me, someone who is a little bit more of a heel striker and has a faster cadence. I've only done a few runs in this shoe. A couple of the runs my legs didn't even feel that good, but this shoe works really well with my running style, and I noticed that any race day shoe that has a high drop that allows me to have a fast cadence is going to be a fantastic shoe for me. And this one is going to fit all of that criteria, as well as coming in at an unbelievably lightweight. Now, like I mentioned, I don't think this feels quite as aggressive as the Vaporfly 1 or 2, and maybe that just means those shoes might be a little bit better suited for like a 5K or a 10K, but overall this is still an aggressive shoe when you compare it to the other carbon plated shoes out there. If anything, the retooling of the midsole in this shoe might just make it a little bit better suited for those longer distances like a half or a full. The stability in the shoe is also lacking a little bit, but it has been improved upon since the Vaporfly 1 and 2. The heel in particular doesn't come to as aggressive of a point. It's been widened out a little bit, thankfully. But ultimately, this is a shoe that you're not going to want to do easy running in really at all. This shoe was made for one reason, and that is to run fast. Now, in terms of price, you're looking at $260 US or $365 up here in Canada. I know some older colorways of the shoe have already started to go on sale, and if I'm going to be totally honest, I would say if you could find a pair of Vaporfly 2s at a heavy discount, I would go ahead and just buy that over this shoe. I feel like if the Vaporfly 3 is going to work for you, likely the Vaporfly 2 is going to be just as good of an option. And if you can save 50 to 100 bucks getting the older version, I'd go right ahead and do that. And that's going to be it. If you have any questions about the Vaporfly 3, leave them down below in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. And like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.